Okay, good morning, everyone. It is about 10:01, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I see we've actually got a pretty good handful of people on this morning. I'm sure if you're anything like me, you're kind of doing a little bit of running around these last few hours, really, until the holidays start again. So hopefully we can kind of keep this short and sweet and help you guys out to get your database in check and moving forward to a great 2015. So as I always do, if you can, please use that raise your hand function so that I can make sure that everyone can hear me. Okay, looks like everyone's hands are going up. Perfect. Thank you very much. So I'm going to go ahead and put everyone's hands down. I'm going to leave the question option open as well. So if you have any questions for me throughout, just go ahead and type them in that questions field, and then they will come to me. And if I know it's something that we're going to talk about, I will just hold off and answer it a little bit later. Or if it's something I didn't plan on talking about, I'll hold that till the end, and then we can do a Q&A time as well for that. So let's go ahead and get started so that we can get you guys back to your days and doing all the things that I'm sure that you have on your list moving forward until Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so hopefully all of you are in the process of keeping track of all of your clients and your customers and the people that you deal with on a daily basis. But the number one thing that you need to do, if you haven't done this already, is you have to pick a home. You have to really find the location that you're going to keep your entire database in. I don't think it's a smart decision to have it in numerous places. Obviously, my favorite is going to be Online Office. I think it's a really robust program for you to use, not just for your database management, but for all of your marketing materials as well. So it's kind of a one-stop shop. I think it's a great place to put your contacts. So really moving forward with this webinar, I will be referencing that a lot and actually showing you a few examples in Online Office and where you'll do some really common tasks to keep your database up to date. So again, Online Office is where I really think that you should be keeping your database and all of your clients in. Again, as I already said, having them in numerous places like your Gmail or possibly a Excel spreadsheet, that type of thing, that's all good and great before. But if you're going to do any type of email marketing campaigns or sending out newsletters or even just listed, just sold properties from Online Office, you really should keep them all in one place, and I do think Online Office is the place to put them. I'm sure that there are some of you that still keep your database in a paper form, whether that's an address book or if it's just scribbling them down on paper. I think it's really time. This would be a great New Year's resolution for you to really start to go paperless in at least one facet of your business, and I think your database would be a great place to start. Obviously, it's a little time consuming. You're going to have to take the time to manually put them in, or if you have an assistant or if you have someone that's willing to help you out with that, so maybe an after-school student, that would be a great task, and it's actually going to get done a lot faster than if you probably took on that task yourself. So definitely try to ditch the pen and paper or the address book for the business aspect of thing. Not going to lie, I absolutely still have an address book, but I reserve that just for my close family and friends, and it's a place that I can keep track of addresses when they're moving frequently. So number one, pick a home. Okay, so the number two task, before you really start doing any major editing or moving contacts around in your database, and we're going to assume that your database is in Online Office, I really think it's important to do a quick backup or export that file just in case. So what would the just in case be for? Well, what if you really make a mistake and you delete an entire group of 100 people? That's not a good idea. You don't want to have to re-input all of those addresses. So before you really start organizing, I think it's a great idea to, again, back up that file or export that file from Online Office. So how would you do that? Where is that at? So I'm going to go ahead and really quick switch over to Online Office so that you can see exactly where this would be. Okay, so when you're in Online Office, to get to all of your contacts, you would go into this Customer Connect function at the very top. And then the next place that you're going to need to click would be your contacts. Okay, so before you get started doing any spring cleaning in December, I really think it's a great idea to export this file so that you have everyone, you have your entire database, just in case you really don't like the outcome or you accidentally delete a handful of people, you know that you'll be able to pull that original file back in and start over if you need to do that. So where would that be? When I'm in my contacts, I know that I'm looking at all of my contacts right here because I can just go ahead and click on this All Contacts up here. If I go over to this drop-down tab right here that says Manage Contacts, I'm going to pull that down, and right here is the Export function. So if I clicked on that Export function, you can see it's basically asking me, what are you wanting to do? Are you wanting to export selected ones, which this would be showing up if I actually had went through and manually selected a few of the contacts? Am I exporting just one of my lists of people? Or do I want to export all of them? I would export all of them and just keep that file. And the other thing that you really want to pay attention to that you want to go ahead and switch is switch this to just a regular CSV file. And what that is basically just a Excel or a spreadsheet format. So go ahead and switch that, and then you're going to hit that export button, and all it's going to do is just save a file to your computer. More than likely it's going to put it in the downloads. That's typically where things default to if you're going to download a file like that. And then again, doesn't mean that you have to do anything with that file, but it's just going to be there for you just in case anything were to happen. Okay, so moving forward, after you have done that, after you've backed up or you've exported that file as the just in case, this is when you really need to start cleaning up your database. So whether you've done this or not before, this is a good place to start. So more than likely, you probably brought in your database from multiple sources. If you didn't type them all in manually, you probably imported them from an email account, possibly an Excel spreadsheet, possibly there's the list of agents that Kim Pollock has given all of you access to for real estate agents that are in the markets that you serve. So you could have possibly brought in quite a few different contacts from different sources. So one of the things that you're going to need to do is actually check for any duplicates, because again, if you're anything like me, I brought in from multiple email addresses, and I potentially could have we'll say John North. I might have a John North in all three of my sources that I brought in to my database. So with that said, I don't need to have 3 different files for that person. So you really need to go through and get rid of your duplicates. So again, where would you do that at? Same exact spot. You would go to your contacts, make sure that they're all selected, and then go to this Manage Contacts, and then you're going to go down to not this one, but the very bottom one, the Merge Duplicate Contacts. So why would it not be this one? Well, the only time that you would use this function is if you actually knew that 2 of them, let's say it was this one and this one, I could then merge those 2. But I don't want to do that because obviously those are different people. I would go down to this Merge Duplicate Contacts. You can see I've done this recently because I really don't have a lot of conflicts. So it's going to actually go through your entire database, find any duplicate contacts, and you're going to be able to pull up each file and see where they're, why they're duplicates and what is conflicting. So what does that mean? This means right here that there's 2 contacts for David May, 2 records were found and there's 5 conflicting fields. So what would the conflicting fields be potentially? It might be a Dave or a David. It could also just be things like conflicting email addresses or addresses. So what would that do if I clicked go ahead and merge? It's going to pull the information from both of those found contacts and merge them into one file so that all of that information will be merged into one. So that's a really great feature to be able to use. Okay, so moving forward. So here's another question that a lot of people ask. Should I delete contacts or should I not delete contacts? Well, it kind of depends on why you would want to delete them. If someone's passed away, absolutely, I think that those probably need to be deleted so that you're not sending out information to people, unfortunately, that are not going to receive it anymore. But if you've had someone that has unsubscribed from your database, from your mailings, from anything that you're sending out, I don't think that you should delete them as a contact. The nice thing about Online Office is that if you did send out any type of e-marketing materials to them and they have selected to unsubscribe, it does still keep them in your database, but now when you send out mailings, the system simply will not send that information to them if they're part of a big group that you've selected. I think it's a really smart idea to keep them in as a contact, especially because just because they've opted out and wanted to unsubscribe from any of your email campaigns, it doesn't mean that they don't want to receive anything from you via snail mail or even phone calls. So you still need to keep that person in there as a contact. Now, if they absolutely want nothing to do with you ever, or you want nothing to do with them, might be a good idea to go ahead and delete them. But aside from them absolutely, really not wanting to ever do business with you, I think it's still a smart move to keep them in your database. Again, as a just in case, and who knows, things may change further down the line and they may want to start receiving your information again. So just to show you really quick, we'll keep going back and forth so you can see how to delete an actual contact. Pretty simple. You can delete 1 at a time. You can delete 10 at a time if you wanted to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on a contact. You can see that most of these are agents from Coldwell Banker. But let's say that I wanted to delete this contact right here. I would go ahead and select it. Again, go over to Manage Contacts, and this is where I would be able to delete that contact. So just know that, and we're going to go into this in a few minutes about actually separating all of your contacts into different lists of people. But just know that if you delete a person from this main part when you're in the All Contacts, it will delete them out of any lists that you have them in. But reversing that doesn't work the same. If you delete someone out of a list, out of any of these lists that I might have, that's still going to keep them in my general database. Okay, so this is probably, well, it is the most time-consuming part after you get all of those contacts loaded into your database, is deciding how you're going to organize them. And so the most logical would be to organize them by type. I do have some agents that don't organize them at all, and regardless of what the marketing materials are, everyone gets sent the same exact thing, and you can do it that way as well. But if you wanted to organize them by type, you really just kind of need to think about the type of information that you're going to be sending them and how you're going to be contacting that person. So just need to ask yourself a few different questions. Are you going to be asking anyone for referrals? Are you going to be sending birthday greetings, informational newsletters? Are you going to be sending new listings or potentially sold listings? So that's going to help you answer what types of lists of people that you want to place in your database. So this is a long list. I think it's 2 lists, but these are, too long, but these are some possible lists that you might want to create in your database. And you can see here we've got past buyer, past seller, pendings, active, prospects, friends and family, and even potentially business colleagues. So with that said, I think that this is probably too much. It's unrealistic moving forward to be able to maintain a database that is that specific, because you have to remember every time that you're putting a new contact in your database, you have to give them one of these assignments, basically. So always know that you need to be, every single contact in your database should be in at least one list. That being said, I think that really a great start to, if you haven't organized your database at all, is to really try to do 3 or 4 very kind of general but still specific lists of people. So friends and family, some people don't keep them in their database at all when it comes to business and marketing. I would, because I know a few of you have heard me say this, but sometimes friends and family can be your worst culprits when it comes to buying and selling homes. When I was active in real estate, I know my own dear sister bought and sold 2 homes without ever involving me, and it wasn't because she didn't trust me. It was because I didn't do my part in reminding her what that I can help her even though she's hours away. So I don't think it's a bad idea to keep friends and family in your database when you're sending out marketing materials, especially because a lot of the marketing materials that you would send them, which would be happy holidays, happy birthday, Merry Christmas, Happy Easter, whatever it might be, are pretty generic, but they are still all branded with your information and your contact information and the company logo. So it's kind of a nice soft way to just kind of still push your information out there while wishing them some type of a greeting and making sure that they're aware and just kind of keeping you front of mind. So moving on to current clients, you can separate this if you would like. If you want to have sellers and buyers, then you can do that. Again, you just have to kind of think about what type of information you're going to be sending them, because more than likely when you create these lists of people, if I had 10 current clients that I was working with and I wanted to send the listings or any new listings to all of those clients, I would grab the entire list and send everybody the same thing. So you have to remember, if you're going to be sending new listings, sold listings, are those okay to go to buyers and sellers? Are they only okay to go to buyers? So separate them into buyers and sellers if you want to do so. But just remember, you have to be appropriate with what you're sending to that entire list of people. And then finally, past clients. This is the big one. You absolutely should have this list of people in your database because you don't want to forget about them. This should be a no-brainer that day of closing when you're finishing up with that file, that you put that person into that list where you contact all of your past clients. All of your past clients can really be contacted the same way. Newsletters are a great thing to send to them. Asking for referrals is a great thing. Happy home anniversaries, those e-greetings are in Online Office for you to use. So those are definite musts. Most of our business does come from past clients, so don't forget about that list of people by any means. So I'm actually going to really quick switch over to Online Office, and I want to show you a few things and really how quickly, if you are going into your database, and let's just say you've got over 1,000 people to start with, and you need to start organizing those people into different lists. So one question that I do get asked quite regularly is the difference between these groups and lists. Without getting too in-depth, I would, number one, say that I prefer the lists over the groups. The groups are based on tags. So you have to remember to tag every single contact that you put into Online Office based on one of these dynamic groups. So to me, it's a little bit more time-consuming. I think there's room for error with it, where the contact lists, I think, are pretty self-explanatory. They're really easy to navigate back and forth, and they're really easy to maintain. So moving forward, I'm going to talk about just the lists. If one of you has a great idea with the dynamic groups, or you're using them and you're having success with them, please get a hold of me outside of this webinar, because I would be happy to have you educate me on why those are better, because I get very, very frustrated with them. And anyone that has ever had time to come to any of my classes, I will tell you that I do try to teach I don't want to call it the lazy way, but I'm going to say the easiest and most efficient way, because I think that that's the most realistic way. I know all of you are extremely busy with your business. So moving forward, with these lists, right now you can see, and this is just for example only, is I've got a few different lists that are already in here that I have set up. So if I were to click on my current clients, obviously these are not my current clients. They're probably some of you out there, but right here would be the list of current clients. Here would be my friends and family. I'm not sure what this one was. Looks like another example. And then past clients. So anytime that you want to set up a new list of people, one way that you can do this is to basically just go through and select some of your contacts. So let's say I selected those 6 right there, and I know that those are potentially, we're going to say that those are current clients. So after I've selected the ones that I want to create a new list, I'm going to select them, go to Manage Contacts, and then simply click on Create New List. So what do I want this list to be called? I'm going to say Current Clients, and then I'm going to go ahead and save that. Oops, and I did already have a current client list. So there's another current client list. So here's the one that I just actually put those 6 into. So from this area right here, I can very quickly go to email marketing. I could go to a newsletter. We're going to save this one. I could very quickly click personalize that newsletter, which again, knowing me, I'm not going to personalize it at all because I think it's just fine the way that it is. And with a few clicks, I can very quickly send out that newsletter to just those 6 people. So imagine if you had a database that had 200 past clients in it or 100 current clients, and you could very quickly send out that monthly newsletter to just that list of people. So what happens if right here, let's say that Dean, who's in my current clients, just actually bought a home. So now I need to move him, right? I need to take him from that list and I need to put him somewhere else. So there's a couple of ways that you could do that. The way that I like to do it is actually just go to Dean's file. And when I'm in Dean's file, I can go up to the corner here and look at the list, and I can see very quickly where he already is. So obviously I've been using Dean as an example in a couple of different things. So if I wanted to, we'll say that he was already just in the current clients list. We'll say that that's where he originated from. But again, now he has sold his house, so now he's a past client. I would just uncheck or check those lists, and I would hit Apply Changes. And now Dean is going to be updated, and now he's going to be in my past clients list and not any current client list. So that's a really quick way to move people around very, very quickly. If you at any time ever want to delete a complete list of people, so let's say this list that I actually just created, I want to delete it, I would just go ahead and go to Delete and click OK. And it would take that entire list of people away. So again, pretty quick and pretty easy way to move people around back and forth. It doesn't need to be anything too in depth, and I really do think that you should start small versus trying to get too detailed with your lists of people. So a couple other things that I do want to say is, again, make sure that every single person in your database is at least in one of your lists. I think that that's very important. Anyone that's uncategorized, you're not going to know where they belong. You're not going to know what to send them. So make sure that everyone is assigned somewhere. I think it's very important to collect the same information from every person. So what this means is don't only collect email addresses and then sometimes collect a phone number and sometimes collect a mailing address. It would be a really smart idea to develop some type of pretty easy and basic form that anytime that you come in contact with people, that you collect the same information so that you have a very full database and everyone's file is complete, because you don't want to have an email address for one person and not have them for 10 other people when you're trying to send out a mass campaign. I think it's really important for those of you that are on social media, or if you get newsletters via email, to pay attention to your sources, because this is where you're going to find a lot of your common changes when people either get married or people have babies or people change jobs. When you notice things like that, it's a great idea to just jot that information down, or if you have the time, to very quickly go into your database and change that information if it's relevant. Or if you're one of these people that actually, you collect business cards, I have a stack of them as well. Just set aside a time. Maybe it's just every Friday, so that this doesn't build up to the point that it's so overwhelming that you're not going to do it, because it's probably where it is right now, so you need to pick away at it a little bit. But maybe if, throughout the week you've started working with some new clients, you have made a few new business connections through networking, or maybe you just have a few new prospects. Maybe on Fridays at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, maybe it's a morning thing, that every single Friday or every 2 weeks, I wouldn't go more than that, you take the time to update your database. Go in, make any changes, add any new contacts that you have, update any current contacts that you have, and then those business cards, stick them in the contacts, and then get rid of the business card. You really don't need to have that floating around on your desk. So just know that at any time when you do make any of those really big changes, take the time to export that file again. It's not a bad idea to basically back that file up on your computer or to have it on a thumb drive. It's a really good idea. So at this point, I think I'm pretty much done with what I wanted to go over. If anybody has any questions at this point, again, I promised that I would try to keep this to a half an hour, and it looks like we're at about 27 minutes right now. So does anybody have any questions right now? If you want, I can just, if you wanted to raise your hand, if you had a question, I can go ahead and unmute you, because we don't have a ton of people where we should get a lot of feedback. Okay, it doesn't look like I have any hands up at all. So, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and close the, oh, hang on, it just looks like I have another question. You know what? Great questions. I will find that out. The question is, what is the internal and external protections for our databases when they are loading them online? I will find that out for you and pass that information along. And the other question is, will this be available for view later? Absolutely. As with all of the webinars that we do, I do record them, and I do load them onto the YouTube channel for CBWM. So if you don't know where that YouTube channel is or how to get to it, go to my website, which is cbwm.com/rwalker. And then on there, underneath my contact information, there should be a quick link where you can see all the little social media tabs. There should be the YouTube quick link to the YouTube channel. And it would be a really good idea, if I were you, go ahead and go to that YouTube channel one time and then just subscribe to it. The great thing about subscribing to those channels is once you do that, anytime anything is added to that YouTube channel moving forward, you're not going to have to look for it. It's going to get emailed to you directly. So that's a great thing to do so that you don't ever have to look for the webinars. They'll be brought to you automatically. So I hope everyone has a great holiday season. Merry Christmas, because that is what my family and I are celebrating. If you're celebrating any other holidays, happy holidays. I wish all of you and your families just the best time, safe travels if you're traveling, and some great family quality time with your loved ones. So I hope to see all of you soon, and I'm sure I will see you on upcoming webinars coming soon. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.